the Bundy family, at this particular time, sons of Cliven Bundy, who's where he should be. As we speak, he's in jail. Ammon and Ryan Bundy are in jail. They were two of the participants in the unlawful takeover.
On April 7, 2016, Nevada Senator Harry Reid stood on the Senate floor and continued his bid for the federal government to grab more land than Americans have been using for generations. As usual, Reid uses typical cheap tactics and vague snapshots to pull at the heartstrings of those who are listening without providing facts or substance to back up the claims that he makes.
Take, for example, a stunningly beautiful place called Gold Butte, where Cliven Bundy illegally grazed his cattle for decades. Because of the trouble caused by the Bundys and their pals, the federal employees tasked with safeguarding these antiquities have been prevented from doing their jobs.
But what is at stake? Millions of acres of state-run land and the lives of several patriots, one of whom has already been executed in cold blood.
Hey, look here. Go ahead and shoot me. Jim! Trying to. Stay down, stay down, stay down, stay down, stay down.
Harry Reid says the Red Butte must be saved. And to do it, Reid is urging Obama to use the Antiquities Act of 1906, which gives the president unilateral power to create a national monument with the stroke of his pen. It's a very different process from creating a national park. And that's because it was designed for a different purpose. The Antiquities Act of 1906 was signed into law by President Theodore Roosevelt in 1906. It was intended for the protection of objects of historic and scientific interest, such as Native American land and artifacts. Devil's Tower in Wyoming was America's first national monument, and its boundary enclosed an area of less than 2 acres. But the Roosevelts, both Teddy and later FDR, continued to set an example by preserving monuments which altogether totaled approximately 4.5 million acres. Laws which are inherently unconstitutional are easily expanded and abused. For example, the federal income tax started as only a 1% tax, with 99% of the people paying 0 income tax. The Antiquities Act has now likewise metastasized like a cancer, and it's being used by presidents to get around Congress, to declare large swaths of land to be federally protected and under the jurisdiction of the Bureau of Land Management. Recently, presidents like Bill Clinton, Jimmy Carter, and Barack Obama have used this act to declare millions of acres of American land as national monuments. Not since the Roosevelts themselves have such unilateral land grabs been declared by the executive branch. Jimmy Carter took a staggering 56 million acres of Alaskan land. This abuse of power resulted in the Alaska National Interest Lands Conservation Act, which requires Congress to authorize the use of the Antiquities Act for over 5,000 acres, but only in Alaska. Bill Clinton used the act to grab 5.7 million acres. Recently, Barack Obama has used this act to take over 4 million acres in California alone. In other words, it's about the same amount of land that both of the Roosevelts took nationally that Obama took just in the state of California. At the request of Senator Dianne Feinstein, Obama designated the Mojave Trail, the Sands to Snow, and the Castle Mountains as national monuments. Knowledgeable of the Antiquities Act, these politicians deceptively use language to make their actions seem as if they're heroic custodians of the land, while privately twisting the intentions of the bill, abusing their power, expanding it to absurd extremes in order to take federal control of the land and place it under the BLM. Currently, Oregon, Utah, and Nevada are under the threat of having massive amounts of land confiscated by executive action. Currently up for grabs with Obama's pen and his executive abuse of monument protection are western lands in Oregon, Utah, Nevada, Colorado, Arizona, Idaho, Montana. Over 10 million acres, just counting the biggest grabs. Several of the larger areas are the same size or larger than Yellowstone. And it's not just western lands that are being locked up. In Maine, a plan to lock up 3.2 million acres, 1.5 times the size of Yellowstone. Another plan in Florida to lock up 1 million acres. Progressives don't trust people who have had stewardship of the land for many generations, whose livelihoods depend on sustainable management and on good stewardship of the land. Progressives don't even trust state government to take care of the land. Progressives believe only the federal government can protect the land, And the only way to protect the land is to lock out humans and to confiscate their property rights. In other words, they will accept nothing less than the United Nations Agenda 21. But how is federal protection with monument status working out for the Apache Indians at Tonto Forest National Monument? This beautiful area in Arizona has great historical, religious, and cultural significance for the Apache Indians and recreational use for everyone else. But the federal government protectors are turning the campgrounds into copper mines. It will turn this into this. The historical monument lands will become a massive crater visible from space 2 miles across and 1,000 feet deep. A 50-story high mountain of waste tailings will be dumped elsewhere in the monument. It's simply monumental fraud. The Indians in Arizona at the Tonto National Monument have learned the federal government cannot be trusted as a protector of the land or Indian history and artifacts. In his book, Where White Men Fear to Tread, Russell Means said white men need to understand that just as the federal government has broken every treaty with the Indians, it is breaking every aspect of its treaty with Americans, the Constitution. Harry Reid and the BLM, just 2 years after telling the Bundys they would be allowed to continue to graze their cattle, are now renewing their claims that cattle grazing endangers the desert tortoise. It will be interesting to see what happens as more people understand the need to stand up to federal land grabs now than understood 2 years ago when the standoff occurred. For Infowars.com, I'm David Knight.
Alex Jones here to tell you about how you can help spread liberty worldwide while also enjoying what I have found to be the best tasting 100% organic coffee on the planet. For more than a decade, my favorite coffee has come from the high mountains of southern Mexico, where the Chiapas farmers grow their unique shade-grown Arabica beans. We have now managed to secure these sought-after beans in a highly customized blend. Discover and try a bag of the Patriot Blend 100% organic coffee at InfoWarsLife.com. This coffee gives you a long, smooth pick-me-up for hours without the headaches and heartburn that so many other coffees give me personally. Hands down, this is my favorite coffee, and it's taken us years to secure connections directly to the Chiapas Mexican farmers. Drop by the site today, order a bag or two, and I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Available in original or with our immune support infusion blend. You will be supporting a free press, all the while enjoying a truly great tasting cup of my favorite coffee. Available at InfoWarsLife.com.